Mate, we are sorted.
We've been eating and travelling together for well over 8 years, and we reckon we've worked out a formula or set of rules to increase our chances of the best food and travel experiences possible.
Today we're in Portland, Maine, famous for world-class seafood and lobster.
So Baz and I are going to go head-to-head in an ultimate lobster roll battle at the end of the trip.
But today, in order to research lobster and explore Portland properly, we're having a seafood scavenger hunt.
And we'll be using our Lost and Hungry rules to hopefully have some experiences that we'll remember forever. Ready?
Yeah. This is going to be the first time that we've seen what each other got up to. We put out a video on YouTube asking for recommendations from Portland locals. So Mike and I just picked a few and headed to the Old Port area.
Portland feels like a more laid-back cross between New York City, because of all the buildings and the architecture, and the harbour and wharf bit of San Francisco.
That says that the Portland Lobster Company is Maine's best lobster roll. This is Portland Lobster Company. Let's tick off classic lobster roll. Fresh meat, brushed with sweet butter, served on a toasted bun. The smell that you get is the butter. Wow! If you love lobster, you're going to love that roll.
Whereas Ben and I decided to take a different tack and head to a less crowded area, so we thought.
Not even midday, already a queue. Good sign in my books.
This was the other variation of the classic Maine lobster roll, this time mayo instead of melted butter.
Not shy on huge chunks of lobster.
Cold, refreshing, sweet lobster, just fits the scenery perfectly.
And with scenery like that, we thought we may as well rack up some points while we were there. Fried clams. Yes.
Well, back at the Portland Lobster Company, Jay was in full flow gathering more local recommendations and also racking up the points.
A new subscriber has to be worth at least 1 point, right?
10 points.
10 points?
10 points for a new subscriber.
Thank you.
That seems fair.
Sorry, did you actually add 10 points to your score from that?
You're going to be very disappointed in the rest of the video.
Oh, was this how this is going?
No!
So many recommendations to come to High Roller for the quintessential lobster roll. But the menu's really interesting, and so we had to get something different, because that's also worth a point, a lobster roll with a twist. How about a lobster cheese crisp taco? Fresh Maine lobster, romaine, and a choice of sauce in a cheese crisp shell. By adding the crisp of a cheese taco in there, not only do you get a massive hit of cheese flavour, you get a real crunch, which is so different. We got the roasted red pepper and the charred pineapple mayo, which was the server's suggestion. Oh my goodness. The pineapple just has a real high level zing.
Baz and I were still at the coast, this time at Bite into Maine, eating America's best lobster roll. I think I prefer it when it's all dressed in that slightly seasoned mayonnaise.
And I've gone for a twist. It's a wasabi mayo lobster roll. This was a big moment of inspiration for my battle recipe. I think I prefer this to the classic.
Ooh. Whilst Baz was working out how he was going to ignore the brief, as usual, I was getting my own lobster roll tips from Baxter, co-founder of High Roller and rocker of tremendous sideburns.
I would say get good bread and get fresh meat. Those are the two most important things.
Baxter also explained the reason the lobster was so good in Maine.
It's a different species than like Florida lobster or like spiny lobster as they call it, but it has like a sweet flavor, and it's also super mild because of the cold waters here.
So for another point, I got us this. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. Can I make this even better? Lobster ghee adds a really punchy lobster flavour.
Portland's food scene, even outside of seafood, has an amazing reputation. So next, it was all about trying more local recommendations.
Holy Donut. This was recommended to us by basically everyone online and everyone that we've met since we've been here. Locally sourced ingredients, one of which being mashed potato. We need to make some decisions. I think the recommendation was to get the Maine blueberry, because they grow blueberries in Maine. It's actually got blueberries through the dough.
So actually put real mashed potato through a ricer and then add that to the dough, and it's a cake batter, and the result is a really fluffy, smooth, mashed potato-y style texture.
We're on a roll. Where next?
Portland Head Lighthouse, reported to be one of the most photographed in the world, one of many in the area, and the oldest in Maine. While we're here, it'd be rude not to play Lighthouse Hunters. Lighthouse. Lighthouse. A lighthouse. Lighthouse building, lighthouse circle, small chubby little lighthouse. Lighthouse. Toilet lighthouse. Large framed lighthouse.
I found a lighthouse!
They even have lighthouse crisps. Downtown lighthouse.
So this lighthouse hunting thing's getting silly now.
Oh, there he is.
Ooh. It was worth the run. I found a lighthouse.
What? Oh, God.
I actually love my lighthouses.
You go above and beyond. You know that. Next up, really need to get some points on the board. We've come to the Standard Baking Company, a highly recommended bakery from you guys, and we're getting a pecan financier and a raspberry and rhubarb tart. That smells so fruity.
Pecan financier, a half cookie and half cake. That is unlike anything I've ever had before. You get a really nice flavour and crunch from the pecans, and there is a cheeky little bit of chocolate on the top that is just about melting. Coats the roof of your mouth. The roof of your mouth. The roof of your mouth.
Ben and I had made our way into town and headed straight to a recommendation that kept being mentioned.
A few extra points. We've come to one of the most recommended places, Mr. Tuna, for 3 hand rolls. Tuna, crab and scallop, and not seafood, but their local foraged mushrooms. Seared tuna, bit of chilli, bit of pickled cabbage, avocado, tempura crumb.
Not only that, but the owner gave us an extra mackerel dish, which also meant extra points.
Mackerel is one of those kind of oily fish that when you absolutely sear it with super heat, it comes out with all those oils and chars beautifully. And then that little blob on top, fermented carrot, it just sets the whole thing off. And to ensure we kept the momentum, another lobster roll, this time at eventide. A steamed bun, so it hasn't got that kind of butter grilled mark, but instead the lobster is tossed in browned butter.
It was so fluffy, buttery and squidgy, completely different to any texture we'd had yet.
Do you prefer mayo or butter?
Both. Can I do both?
Buttered mayo.
Buttered mayo?
Casco Bay is where most of the seafood is caught in Portland, so I booked us on a trip there. Then I told Jamie.
So Jamie's a bit annoyed because I insisted we come on the boat to get a point, and he wants to do more lobster roll research.
Yeah, I've got to win a lobster roll battle tomorrow.
Yeah, but we're going to see so many lighthouses on this trip.
Yeah, it's an hour boat trip for 1 point. Lighthouse. 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 This lighthouse driving a boat. It's got to be worth 5 points. Yeah?
5 points.
5 points.
But sorry, you just made another rule up.
5 points for driving a boat.
I didn't read the appendices, which obviously had all the extra rules in.
You're having a nice time.
I am having a nice time.
Yes.
Who are you? So is it the Lighthouse Lovers Cruise or is it the Lighthouse Lovers Cruise? Because I'm not sure we fall into either category.
Oh.
Next stop, Boons. Another community recommendation. 1 point. What are we going to get? A lobster roll. 2 points. That equals 3 points. No! That's how it works, right?
We're just making up our own point system.
One of my favourite things about eating lobster is it's acceptable for an adult to wear a bib. Tooled up, ready to go. We have 2 different types of lobster roll. We have the Cow Island, which is with mayonnaise and lemon, and we have the Nor'easter, which is with drawn butter. And we have a baked and stuffed lobster. What's it stuffed with? More lobster. I want all of my lobsters to be baked and stuffed with more lobster. That is delicious and warming, and it's like a couple. The incredible thing is how many different textures that you get with that. You get the crunch of the butter and the breadcrumbs on the outside, and then you get the really sweet, juicy meat on the inside. What's not to love about all of that?
As the end of the day approached, Baz and I were cramming in as many last-minute points and research as possible. Hot roasted white asparagus with crab béarnaise and halibut with green romesco, burnt cream, some wonderful greens.
Hands down, the best dishes we'd eaten all day.
He's had some inspiration!
Oh, if you could see inside my mind, it's like all those numbers. It's like the Matrix, but with lobsters.
And this here is the best lobster roll I have ever eaten.
That is amazing. Pure, gluttonous. Personally, I think garlic butter and lobster are the best combinations that you can possibly get. That is unbelievable.
Done it.
The sunset dictated that our Portland scavenger hunt was over, so we met up at our final local recommendation to reveal our scores.
This looks very nice, and I can also see 2 losers sitting inside.
Hello. Have you had a losing day? We had a great day, and we've eaten so much seafood and
Lovely
lobster.
day.
And I've had loads of lighthouses.
And I really don't want to lose.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Ready?
In 3, 2, 1.
How'd you do? That was close. Not close enough. And you celebrated, knowing full well that you cheated the system.
No shame.
After the results, losers buy dinner as if we needed more food. We have come to literally the most requested place, Duck Fat, and this is a bit of a hidden gem because there's one in sort of central downtown, but this one is attached to a brewery, Oxbow, and it's cool, and there's a huge space to sit and enjoy, loads of different beers inside with Oxbow, and we've gone for poutine.
Boys, good day. Oh. Cheers, cheers.
That is one fat duck. That is amazing. Things that stood out for me today were lobster ghee, amazing. Baked and stuffed lobster, incredible. But then also the simplicity of the classic lobster butter bun.
The key is fresh, beautiful lobster, which we can't go wrong here. And I think I found some really cool local produce to use.
Barry's eaten more lobster rolls than we have. But I don't think that's helped him because he's eaten more different lobster rolls.
Jamie's, he's going to stick to a classic, I reckon, but he's going to go big, bold, and maybe over the top.
I don't think he has a clear direction yet of how he's going to make his roll. And
That might play to my advantage.
I am excited for your battle.
I'm looking forward to the battle
If you cheat in the next one as well,
how am I
I'm
going
so
to
happy.
cheat in the battle?